Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Getting Ahead of Autism. We're going to start off this podcast, you guys, with a story time. Comes after news. I heard it on the news earlier this month. I think it was around the 10th or around the 9th of this month of March. And pretty devastating, especially for a parent of a child with autism. I won't give you my version of it. I'm going to just let you hear it straight from the news source. I don't own the copyrights on this video. This is just a news clipping from New Jersey. Check out this video.
This is 5-year-old Kyrie McNeil. Monday morning before he boarded his school bus, his mom, Chinasia McNeil, said everything seemed normal that day until that afternoon, when it wasn't.
It hit 2:45. Kyrie never got home.
Kyrie is in the pre-K4 program at PS30 in Jersey City. He has autism and his speech is limited. School officials told parents the bus arrived late that day, so Kyrie didn't board the afternoon bus until 3:45 p.m. But well after 4 o'clock, his mom says there was still no sign of Kyrie. School officials called JR Transportation, the bus company contracted by Jersey City Public Schools.
Everybody's saying all the buses are back, all of the bus aides and the bus drivers are gone for the day. So I said, well, did you guys check the bus? And they said, no, let us go check.
Around 5 p.m., Kyrie was found in the back of a bus on this lot.
Shivering, shaking, cold, just screaming, Mommy, Mommy, I want to go home, I want to go home.
His mom says she is relieved but angry.
So instantly, I'm enraged. I started shaking, I started sweating, I'm hyperventilating, I'm panicking.
The school superintendent told me it's the bus driver's responsibility to check their bus for sleeping children. The driver and the driver's aide were both fired. McNeil said Kyrie is physically okay, but he's still traumatized by the incident. When the bus showed up outside their house the next day,
he was irate. He started screaming, crying, Mommy, I don't want to get on the bus, I don't want to get on the bus. Like, I had to tell him, like, it's okay, you're not getting on the bus.
McNeil is trying to get Kyrie transferred to another school, and she said she's planning to file a lawsuit. In Jersey City, Nick Calloway, CBS 2 News.
And Nick says officials with JR Transportation, the bus company, said they have no comment.
Wow, so devastating video, you guys. What we take from that as adults, make sure that if we're in that position where we're watching over kids, to do our last sweep of the bus, make sure that how many kids got on the bus, how many kids got off the bus at each stop. Be more mindful, you guys. We're adults. So if we're ever in that position, we're working in that position, show some love to our kids. Say that no one's out there to protect them but ourselves, but us as adults. That is our future. Protect our children. So right now we're going to get into our interview with our mommy. Let's check out this video so we can get to know her better. Check it out.
Start off by introducing myself. I am Jessica Rabbit, which that is my name across all of my platforms. I am on 2 podcasts. One is Soul Healer Podcast with Rika Davis. The other one is Millennial Wives Podcast with Ari Nicole. I'm also a wife, a mother, and I worked with children with autism. I taught them for several years before having my children, and then I pretty much retired. So I have aspects from the point of view as the educator prior to having children, then having my children. So the experiences that I had with that, and also with my close family and some friends that have dealt with that as well. So I've seen different aspects. I have played different roles. I have many hats that I wear. So hopefully I can give you guys some great insight, great tips that I used, and I'm just here to help, and hopefully I will help someone. If I reach one person, then I've done my work. Thank you.
So we're back from break. Thank you for tuning in. We have the beautiful Jessica Rabbit here that we're going to interview and get to know a little bit better. I know we're going to be able to help a lot of mommies out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So thanks to you so much for coming on, Jessica. Thanks for coming on the show. We just saw your video, and we'll get everyone to tune into your podcast as well, because I know it's so wonderful and I love tuning in myself.
Thank you.
So, talking with the on the autistic level, let's talk about your kids. I know you have 3 children, and you mentioned that they're all on the spectrum, but just on different ranges of the spectrum.
Correct.
So let's start off with asking, what did you notice about your kids to make you come to the conclusion that they were autistic?
I'll start with Christopher. I noticed about 10 months, he really wasn't given that eye contact when you would call his name. He knew his name, but he just wouldn't gaze at you and look, and when he did tummy time, he really wasn't focusing on the mirror. So I was like, that was kind of weird. So I was making little mental notes that moms do. I'm like, okay, this. And then he had an operation. His when he was circumcised, some of the foreskin was still on his it was like it looked like a little bridge on it. And then the doctor's like, oh, he's gonna need to get that done. And then I was like, okay, well, when do we do this? He said, well, if you do it now, that he won't really remember it. If you do it later, then it'll come the complications. And my husband's like, ouch, that's probably gonna hurt really bad. I think we should just get it done with. So after he had that operation, he stopped talking because he could say mama, dada, hi, bye, different things like that. And a few months later, he went mute. So I don't know if it's just circumstantial or like coincidence, but that's when it happened. But then around that time anyway, that's when a lot of parents started really noticing a lot of the signs. But like his fine motor skills were fine. He was walking, crawling, all of those he was meeting on his milestones. It was his speech that regressed. And then the eye contact and things like of that nature. So I do know for those mommies out there, if your baby has a digestive issue with like eating or drinking, those are now like telltale signs that something may be wrong. So just be aware of that, because he did have he had GERD and he was colicky. So I don't know if those were signs that I should have been looking at to begin with, to say, okay, something going on now because his body can't digest the food well. So, those are things I think they're looking into now. It's like things we were told, oh no, it's fine. But then this happened. So I'm like, maybe that was the early signs I was seeing something. It's like, why is he not eating well?
Yeah, I know I'm going to talk to a mommy in later episodes. She's very passionate about detoxing and the cleansing of the gut and so forth, and how she felt like that plays a role in autism and like heavy metals and things of that nature. So yeah, I think parents need to look at that as a sign as well. And then for me, the hand flicking, the walking on the tiptoes, lining up everything straight, we saw that right away. Even now, he'll still line up straight. It's just not as much. But when he get his time, just downtime by himself, I know he's still kind of like lining things up straight. He's going to be 6 next month.
See,
Okay, so go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Christopher used to try to spin things. So if it wasn't meant to spin, he didn't care. He'll try to spin your phone. He'll try to spin anything. So that was like a really big light bulb. When I saw that, I was like, I think I'm gonna have to take him to the doctor.
Yeah, and I think even now, some of like the toys I was looking at for my kid, they have a lot of stuff that just spins, and that the little fidget toys and so forth. So yeah, I know this kind of like relaxing and soothing. So yeah, that's definitely a sign to look for. And then what age would you say your kids was like diagnosed?
So 13 years ago, they weren't diagnosed until they were 3. So you go to the specialized pediatrician, whatever age your pediatrician says, I think you should take them. So mine was about between 12 and 18 months. And that's when they said, oh, we said he's showing signs of being on a spectrum, but they explained to me that that basically means that he is. We don't expect him to make that big of a 180 by the time he gets to 3.
Right.
So they were preparing you, and I kept going every 6 months. I kept doing testing just to see if he was making any progress. And bimotor skills wise, yes, but his other ones, cognitive and sensory issues and all this stuff, was still really delayed. So then by the time he was 3, he was fully diagnosed. The first doctor, the neurologist, did not want to diagnose him with autism. Then I took him to a specialized pediatrician. She said yes, and I took him for a second opinion. She confirmed it. So then I had to accept when I got the second opinion. And then her name was Dr. Mars, and she was in Hunterdon County, New Jersey. She said, this is not a death sentence, and you know this because you're a teacher. Don't take this as an end-all be-all diagnosis. And I really had to sit there and go, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. So had to get out of my head a little bit and just say, is nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with I did, because we play that blame game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know I did. But I had my kids when I was 39 and 40, and they kept calling my pregnancy a geriatric pregnancy, just make you feel old. So yeah,
Yeah.
I know I was like, man, maybe I was too old. And I think my very first pregnancy was a miscarriage. So I was like, man, my body is just not can't handle this. Like I'm just sometimes I feel like my body was like a torture chamber for kids or something. Like I need to just like give up trying. Like I'm just torturing these kids with my body. Like let me just give up. But I'm glad that I have my two little blessings, and I was able
Yeah.
to give birth to them. So yeah, I wanted to take the time to mention for mommies who are wondering if their kids are newly diagnosed that there is a survey, a questionnaire on autismspeak.org. And some of the questions that it asks is, does your child walk on their tiptoes? Does your child flick their hands? Does your child respond to their name? It has, I think when I checked, it was maybe 25 or maybe 30 questions. And that survey can be looked up at autismspeak.org. So I would encourage all our mommies that are listening, wondering if your kid has autism, what to look for, to go ahead and check that out. And I think even after they give you the survey, they give us additional information what to look for. So just wanted to let let my parents that's listening out there know that. Okay, and it also when you find out that your child was autistic or has autism, did that discourage you from having more kids?
No, because I look at it like I know a family that has two boys that have autism and two girls that do not. Um, so I know it's like you're shaking them dice and rolling them just like with any other pregnancy. So I didn't want to say, okay, well, we have the twins and they have autism. So, let's not try again because my daughter's, higher functioning than my son. And I'm like, you never know what you're going to get. So I don't want any mommies out there that has a child with autism, don't stop. I knew when I was teaching, there was a set of twins. The brother was very low functioning, and his twin brother was fine. So you just never know, and don't let that stop you because it's not a death sentence. You just have a special child that you're going to celebrate milestones at a different age and at different times, but you will be grateful for every new milestone that your child makes.
Yeah, and I think it takes a strong parent too to raise a child with autism. You just got to have a special type of patience. I think just reading some of the stuff in the news, I see good things, I see bad things. I post them up on my website, some different articles, but I try to bring the positive ones to light. So the last one that I saw recently was a gentleman who didn't start talking until he was 11, didn't learn to read or write until he was 18, and I think now he's a professor at a university. Like he's doing really well as autism. But when you think about it, look how long it took for him to talk. Look how long it took for him to learn to read and write. So I want parents out there listening not to give up hope in that respect. Okay, and then I also
No.
want to talk about some other things. Is your child like a picky eater? I know that's a lot of things with autistic parents as well.
Okay, so all I'll say the girls are great eaters. They will eat basically, they'll try stuff, and if they don't like it, they'll pick around it, but they do really well. If I make dinner, they'll pretty much eat it. Christopher, on the other hand, Bubba, he was really good when he was little. Now, oh my goodness. So he'll eat any type of sweets, candies. He loves fruit. He loves vegetables, popcorn, chips, and stuff like that. Then when we get down to having food, so it's either Burger King, McDonald's, Popeyes, KFC, um, and Little Caesars Pizza. He will eat like Domino's sometimes, like those fast foods. When we go to the restaurant, he will place an order, but he'll get like chicken fingers or something like that. So, and then at home when I cook, everything has barbecue sauce on it. Meatballs with barbecue sauce, chicken with barbecue sauce, macaroni and cheese with barbecue sauce. He does like the ramen noodles at times, but that's basically it. Um, I had to sneak vegetables in there. So I get like the V8 splash juice and stuff like that, or the dino nuggets with the vegetables in it and things like that. So I sneak the vegetables in that way. Like I disguise them, but he won't eat them plain. But when he was little, he would eat greens and things like that. But then I
Yeah.
don't know, he's about 6 years old and just stopped.
I know my kid's the same way. He just would eat a whole avocado. And now he look at that avocado like, no, it's green. He goes for stuff that's like bland, like he'll eat white rice. You try to jazz up the white rice. He's not having it. He's picking all the vegetables out of it and everything. So yeah, I see like a lot of mommies on TikTok, they're just celebrating that their child, hey, ate some broccoli today or just ate something healthy today. So yeah, I know it can be a struggle. What did you find was most helpful when your child have like temper tantrums? What's a good way to calm your child down?
So what I would do was I talk to him and say, okay, you need quiet mouth, quiet hands. What's wrong? Use your words. And then sometimes I'm mad. Okay, why are you mad? I'm crying. I know you're crying. You're crying because you're mad. Why are you mad? And then, oh, TV. Oh, the TV's not working. Let's see what's wrong with the TV. Okay, we have to calm down. I can't fix the TV if you're crying like that. Okay, okay. And you breathe. Let's breathe. And okay, oh, I see what's wrong. Let's do it. You have to calm down. Or his sister, the youngest one can get him to calm down the most. She'll come and interject. Sometimes you have to remove yourself. So if the child is mad at you, have your husband come in, and now your husband can talk to him because he's not mad at your husband. So he can
Yeah.
talk to daddy and he'll tell daddy what's wrong because you are now the enemy. And then I just walk away. We learn to do that. Like in the mornings for the routine, he doesn't want me. I wake him up, I tell him good morning, flick on the light, I exit. He doesn't see me again, so he's getting on the bus, tell him, be good, listen, all that stuff. I try not to talk to him because I'm the mean one because I turned on the light. So he's mad at me.
Wow.
So we learned that with him. We learned that with that's how we work it. The person he's mad at, we try to exit that person and having someone else come in that he feels is like is on his side. His twin, she throws things. Her temper tantrums or she's trying to destroy property. And I said, you can't do that because you go out in the world and do that, they will arrest you. They're not going to think, oh, she has autism. So we're trying to teach her that she cannot be destructive that way. My youngest one is more, I think, vindictive on stuff. That's her temper tantrums.
All right.
It's like she's trying to get back at you.
Okay.
You did this to me.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. She's plotting on you to get back at because you just, yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, I think for me, my younger one that he's not on the spectrum, but he's definitely the bully. He's like he can get over on my oldest son Danny, and he would just bully him. Danny, go do this. Danny, go get my tablet for me. Danny would just go do it. Like there's no for this kid. So just
Yes,
very
and the
nice,
girl,
calm, loving kid, but just like a pushover. Okay, now I want to also
and
ask
then
you
my
about
girls,
ABA therapy and
oh, school, only in school, not at home, because 13 years ago they didn't have it at home. It was only in the building. So you would go to, I'm from New Jersey, so you would go to Children's Specialized Hospital. That didn't work because Christopher knew this is the way you act in school. This is for school. This is home. So if they're not coming into the home, then it's not going to help. But we did have, and it just left my mind. In New Jersey, there's a program, it's like DD services, and then it's Perform Care. So we have Perform Care, which is a program that helps you, they give you respite, they have therapy, they also have summer camps, so they'll pay for about 2 weeks of summer camp for you, and it's for a summer camp for children with disabilities of your choice. And so we had them, and they had the therapist come into the house. She did help me with going into the community. So she would come once a week, and we would go to the mall, to the movies, out to eat. to the supermarket, on long rides. She would come into the house and help me, when I needed him to be able to do something so that I can cook or clean. So play video games with him, and he became really well at video games, so that became his thing to do. So now, as much as I want all that screen time, but I'm able to do different things I need to do.
That's good. And I also wanted to talk about, I know with my ABA therapist, they use cards to try to get my son to talk. They wanted to use devices. I absolutely positively hated that because I want my child to talk. I don't want him depending on those things to use way. I know to start off, yes, but eventually I'm trying to like wing them off that. So what do you think about those things, about the devices and using cards to point at and talk to them?
The PECs they're good because they help them to read, so they can associate the word with the picture sometimes. So
okay,
I see that way. The devices, if your child has language, I say do not use it unless it is the last resort. Like if you're talking with him and he's just not communicating, he's not calming down, and he needs a device to say, I need water, I need sleep, then yes. But if he has the language, I say use it. I was against sign language and I was against the device. He had language, and my son, your child, my son,
yeah,
he will become lazy. So if you give him a device or a tool that will speak for him, he's not going to do it. So we said, no, we're going to push him as much as possible. You can teach him the sign language for help, bathroom, more things of that nature. But to have a conversation with you, I want him to be able to use his words because he has the ability, and he's doing that. And just like now, he moved and we went to a different school, and they try to bring a device. I said, he doesn't need a device. I said, he can speak. He has words. Oh, well, he has a list when we can't really understand him at times. I said, well, you'll get to understand him because you just met him.
yeah.
And he's going to continue using his words. I said, I do not want him to lose that ability of speaking and now relying on a device that might be dead. What if it dies? Now he can't, speak for
Yeah, that's
himself.
another
He
tantrum
has
right there.
Yes, thank you. Because or what if I said, what if the word that he wants is not in that device? So
Yeah.
where are we going to do then? And they looked at me like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to think that far ahead, right? And the speech teacher, she was really like, I think she was a little upset at me, but oh well, I'm the parent. At the end of the day, I tell you what goes in that IEP, and I know that. And if I don't want it, if I am not okay with something, I don't have to sign off on it. And it's gonna be tough cookies. You just have to work with him. And I haven't heard a complaint yet. And he's speaking to me now almost in full sentences at times.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to bring out to the mommies listening that your son started off nonverbal. He's talking now. Just to give them some type of idea, what around what age would you say he started talking, maybe expressing himself?
So he became started off talking and became nonverbal. And then I say he went to the specialized school. By the time I think it was about third, he would have been, I think his twin was like in third grade. He started speaking, and it was like more and more you could understand him. And that's when the tantrums we watched the tantrums start to go down some too. With more language he has, more that he can express himself, the better the tantrums have got. So, and then he started speaking more. So then we just try to, even if it was like one or two words, let him get it out. I want this, I want that. Even if he would sign, I want, and then, you have to say the word that you want. And that's how we would do it. Say, I want, do sign for I want, and then that would try to get him to say, I want this, I want that. And then he just started ditching the sign. I only sign bathroom when we're out in public because, he might be overstimulated. So he might not be listening to me, and I'll wave it in front of his hands. He'll go, no bathroom. I'm like, okay. But then I know, I have his attention. He want, just dart off for me and run to the bathroom. So those mommies out there, just keep pushing. And if you hear your child speaking at home, record them. That's the best thing that we have. We have this technology, record them so you can send an email to the teacher, send an email to the speech therapist so they can hear it and go, oh, wow, okay. Because our kids are really smart. They may not talk in school because they don't want to do the work. So if
Yeah.
I don't have to talk school, I'm not going to do it because then now I don't have to do the work. So if record as much as you can, even for the doctor's appointments,
Yeah, exactly.
record and show them.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to when my kid had ABA, and because I know for me, my kid would listen to others before they listen to me. And I had my ABA therapist just like I recorded her saying, "It's time to go to sleep." I record her just saying different things, and we could put it big on the television because we had a smart TV. And then he'll do it just because I have it on video. And she's just that's so helpful for me for her to do that, just to let me record her saying, all right, Danny, you see the moon outside and it's night. And she just had like a whole little story for him. It's time to go to sleep. And he's just talking to the television, like, yes, it's time to go to sleep. And he'll just like go to bed. I'm like, okay, mommy says do it, but we're not going to do it. So for I wanted to say that because a lot of parents, I talked to a lot of mommies that maybe their child was like 6 or 7 years old and just still at home. Like she didn't put the child in school or anything. Just because kind of for her, it's just kind of like embarrassing. Like my child don't need to be out in public. My child don't need to be out in where I need to homeschool. I need to look for other ways. So I would say get your child around other kids, get your child around other adults. Let that influence of others, help them out. Maybe a lot of kids, maybe it's just you they're not responding to. Because I know with my kids, they're not responding to me, but cousins, auntie, uncles come over and they're ready to just like be more sociable or just come out their little shell. So I like
It's
that too.
because they're familiar with you, so they can be who they are with you. With
Yeah.
others, they have to someone else. And we went on vacation, we went on trips, we went out, and the teacher was like, wow, you guys take your kids places. I'm not ashamed. If he has a tantrum, he had a tantrum at SeaWorld. I cried in Newark Airport. I cried at Arizona, with Phoenix, Arizona Airport. I cried at Disney World. It was a lady at Disney World. She worked there. I swear she was an angel. I didn't have any more money. I could not buy him a buzz. He wanted a buzz. She went in there and got him a buzz
Oh,
and then
nice.
disappeared. It was gone. And I tweeted it and I said, thank you. I said, whoever, and her name was Brittany. I said, I thank you because you really came in, you really helped me and you saved the day. But take them out. You're right. Get them out with people because they're going to have to go out in the world and they're going to have to know how to function in the world.
Yeah.
And it's best for you to teach them where they have the safety of you with them at that time to learn how to navigate through this world. So please don't keep your children at home. Please don't keep them locked in on the weekends. Get them to get out and do as much as possible. Let them see the zoo, Disney World, and whatever your money can afford.
Yeah,
Take them
I'm
out there
glad
and
you
don't be.
mentioned that 'cause that's pretty much my worst fear. It's like me and my husband want to do some traveling this year, and I'm going to have a mommy later on in another episode who's going to talk about what you can do ahead of time before you go and get on an airplane and stuff like that, and just like what we can do to look for. Because I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, my kid is, I mean, they're well behaved, but they just have no, I don't know, no personal space. Like you can be sitting there drinking, he'll come and just take your drink out your hand and just drink it and give it back to you. Like we need to share. And he will tell you that. And I'm just like you don't know about this whole sharing thing. Like we need to share. So he, like, whereas my younger one who is not on the spectrum, he knows not to do something like that. But my autistic son will. He just you need to share. I learned to share. You're gonna learn to. Just a complete stranger. So for me, I'm just worried about like just little stuff like that. Um, he's speaking and everything. We just working on just his kind of like little behavior things, like what's appropriate and what's not. So yeah. And then another thing I want to ask you too was about the future. I'll go ahead. Did you have another comment for this one?
I know, saying like, yeah, we're still doing that as well.
Yeah.
I think it just going, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, just looking forward in the future, are you concerned about your child being able to just adapt in this world, and what are your concerns in that area?
Yes, I'm more concerned with, well, see, with the girls and boys, I have two aspects. Christopher, I'm concerned because he's a Black male that right now he has limited speech. So I'm afraid if a police officer was to see him and he was to be aggressive with them because he doesn't know what's going to happen, and then something happened like that, or someone sees him in the street and, oh, hey man, go take this somewhere, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I'm concerned with. And then will he be able to work? If not, that they do have programs I know for um adults 21 and over. They have day programs, which if he can't work, then he can go to that day program. I just don't want him laying around in the house, not doing anything all day playing video games. No, I want him to be out and be able to engage with other people and interact and go on field trips and day trips and different things of that nature. Or even if he's able to work but have a buddy, they do have those programs where they will have a job, but they'll have a buddy with them and helping
Okay.
them along working, which is a really good program as well. When they get to a certain age, um, they will go to like a VOTEC school. So they will try to see what they're good at and try to train them in that area. They have daily living skills. So they'll teach them how to wash clothes, cook, clean, and different things in that area so they can help you at home. Or if they're able to live on their own, they'll be able to know what to do without a parent or someone always being behind them. My girls, they want to get married, they want to have children. My daughter wants to go to VOTEC for cosmetology. And so if she gets into the program, it'll be half day for cosmetology and half day at the high school. And my other daughter, she wants to give back to the community. So I'm trying to see what we can get for her to do that'll be appropriate for her on her level. I'm afraid for the girls of being exploited, with social media
Yeah.
and, oh, send me this stuff. So it's like I'm trying to navigate that because you want to allow them to have TikTok like their friends and have Snapchat like their friends, but are you going to use it appropriately? I don't want someone taking advantage of you. So those things are like, those are my fears. So we're trying to navigate them now in the appropriate manner so that they will be able to do it and have fun. But it's hard. I think we have a little bit harder than the typical parents.
Yeah. I mean, your concerns are the same as mine. Especially when you mention how someone can say, "Hey, take this and take this over there," and it could be like anything. I think my son would be like, "Okay." So just he's fearless, like just trying to get them to help establish some type of fear and some type of like caution. It's just hard for me for the future. So I think yeah, I'm trying to see like what resources would I need to look into because I'm trying to like my podcast says get ahead of autism, trying to think ahead. So hopefully talking with some other mommies who have children on this spectrum, but they're adults and seeing just how they navigate that and what to expect so I can just like be prepared and get ahead of it will also
Yeah.
help us out. So yeah,
I think an ID bracelet and with his name and his diagnosis, and then put something on like he will answer to yes to any question. So if a police officer would say, "Oh, did you rob that bank?" He's going to say yes.
yeah.
Because I said to my son, I said, "Oh, you're getting a mustache." He said, "Yes." I said, "See right here in your lip." No, 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 no mustache. I said, "See." He said yes because I said something. Yes was his first answer was yes. So we were worried about that. There's a program called with POAC, Parents of Autistic Children. They go out into the community and they talk to the police officers and they let them know what this demographic, how they respond. And if
Yeah.
you ask them a question, it might be yes to everything. So you're not going to get a truthful answer from them at times because it's like they teach them to say yes first.
Right.
And then later on, you might get the answer. So I'm right there with you. It's like we really need to get it ahead of this now before we get there. And it's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah. So I think just bringing out more awareness, talking about it, let other mommies who maybe don't have kids on the spectrum kind of like hear our stories and see what we're going through. It'll help them to think. It'll help them to talk to their kid. It helped us to create a better future. So that's
Yeah,
my whole goal and my whole purpose out here. Like we need to get as much awareness out here as possible. Because if you just keep the story to yourself and just be like kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of ashamed, I don't want to talk about it. how are we going to know how we're going to get ahead of it. So I thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story. I'm sure it's going to help so many mommies. It definitely helped me because my kid is 6 and I haven't got to the age where he's 13 yet, and like a lot of things to worry about. So yeah, it's gonna help a lot of people. So I definitely would like to have you back in other episodes so we can talk a little bit more. I don't know, we mentioned here that you're a teacher as well, so we can talk about that and see like what some of the resources they have available in school and what our like a typical routine look like and so forth. So let's get ahead and talk about that more. But thank you so much, Miss Beautiful Jessica Rapid, for coming on the show. And we're going to take a break right now, you guys, and come back, talk about our book of the month and also our closing thoughts. So stay tuned. All right, you guys, that's my show for today. Thank you so much for our mommy for doing the interview. Thank you so much for all our listeners. If you want to be a guest on the show, Getting Ahead of Autism, contact me at bootchubooks@yahoo.com. We'll go ahead and get you on. If you have a story time you want to tell, send it to bootchubooks@yahoo.com. And then also, if you have a book, a children's book that's that's your child's favorite, that you like to read to them, that they like to listen to, you think other mommies will enjoy reading to their kids, go ahead and send that also to bootchubooks@yahoo.com. We'll go ahead and feature it on the episode. So we look forward to future episodes. We're going to have an amazing parent of autism next week. We also have our ABA therapist coming up in future episodes, and we have our traveling mommy who's going to talk to us about that as well. So stay tuned for future episodes. Thank you for watching this one. Bye-bye.